Hello! Today we're going to be talking about the brand new Christopher Nolan film, Tenet. And I was able to see it last night. My movie theaters didn't reopen until Friday, even though Tenet, I believe, came out earlier in the week. Plenty of reviews, so I just figured I'm not going to worry too much about spoilers. First things first, I'd like to get into the action. The set pieces in Tenet are amazing. They're mind-blowingly good. The opening scene, it's just filmed and just kind of choreographed phenomenally all the way through. Especially when you get to there's this heist thing and you got a character, John David Washington's character, going like forward through time, but the person he's fighting is going backwards through time, and it's a very mesmerizing thing to watch in a way, but it's also a little difficult and confusing to watch, but in a weird way and good way. So it's just visually, the action pieces are great for that reason. There's one on the highway which is just phenomenal, and I don't fully understand how they filmed some of this with a car crashing in reverse while other cars are going forward through time. It's phenomenal. And then like the final action sequence is just great. There's a building that explodes and rebuilds and explodes again, all at the same time. The action is inventive and great. And I guess let's move on to the acting and the characters. The acting it's fine. You know, I don't think it's Christopher Nolan's best cast in terms of performance, but that's also partly because the characters, I don't think, are his greatest written characters outside of Elizabeth Debicki's character, which is the heart of the movie. Her character is the heart of the movie, Kat. And she's played fine. She's played well. I don't think it's as good as Cobb's wife in Inception. I'm blanking on the actress's name, and even the name of the character, I believe, is like Mal. But she does a good enough job. She does well. And I think the biggest, in terms of acting, the biggest standout is Kenneth Branagh. He just plays this great James Bond villain, destroy the world type of thing. There's not much to him, but he's great, over-the-top, great James Bond-esque villain. And I think he's obviously the standout for me. And I think Robert Pattinson did a good job making me believe he could be a Bruce Wayne. Like the Batman trailer, which I love to death. It showed me that he'd make a great Batman, but I didn't see necessarily much Bruce Wayne in it. And the Bruce Waynes you did see was like just this goth kid rather than the billionaire playboy persona that he's supposed to be. Characters overall do fall slightly flat for the most part, just because there's no backstory to any of them except for Kat and some of Kenneth Branagh's character. But it doesn't fully hold it back. I think they're good enough characters for you to just latch on and enjoy the ride of the rest of the film, to just enjoy the great action and the ride and the visuals of the film. Now, visually, I kind of helped state this a little bit in when I talked about the action, but visually it's astonishing. Some of the ways they filmed it, they used mostly practical effects, very little CGI. And, some of it was almost mind-blowing at times. It's just the cinematography, the visuals, it's all very creative, it's very inventive. And onto the story elements, it's very quick-paced, and that's something I really enjoy, especially when it's a Nolan film. I love the way he paces films when it's done at a quick pace. The story and the plot is unnecessarily confusing. It's not bad, but it's very convoluted and can be confusing, especially upon first watch. But it's not bad, and he even writes in lines to the audience, don't think about it too much. He has a lot, that comes up kind of a lot, lines like that throughout the movie. There's a line in particular told by someone explaining it to John David Washington's character, the protagonist, as they call him. The lady, she explains it. She basically just says, don't try to understand it, just feel it. And I think that's a great way to describe this movie in terms of there's one thing that sticks with me is I'm confused how many people are actually out there, because it makes it sound like that there's two versions of you, one going reverse, one going forward. But there's a moment in the movie where there's 3 John David Washington characters in the same sequence. And so I'm confused, like, is there just gonna be like 4 or 5, no matter how many times they go through that little machine that puts them in the different, like, inversion universe and then the forward moving universe? Is there just a bunch of different John David Washingtons running around in this world? Because when you're in that, like when they're in the airport scene, you have the 2 John David Washingtons, one in the disguised getup fighting the other one from earlier in the movie. There's those 2, and then there's also a third one that Robert Pattinson's running, like chasing down before he realizes who it is. And we only follow up, by the end, there's only like 2 of them. One going forward, one going backwards. But there's like 3 of them in that one sequence. And I'm confused by all of that part. Maybe it was in something I'll get to later about the sound. Something that was said that I missed somehow. But that is something that really got me thinking a lot, because I had no clue in terms of that. And I'm just sitting here wondering if this world just has a bunch of John David Washingtons just running around in it, not coming in contact with each other because they don't want to end the world, you know. Onto the sound of this film. It's got a magnificent score. Maybe my favorite score of all time. I can't stop listening to it, you know. It's amazing to listen to. It's a great score. But I think there were some issues in the sound mixing, because sometimes the score and the dialogue audio it overcame it so much it was hard to hear, especially in the last act. There's a conversation on the telephone or walkie-talkie things between Kenneth Branagh's character and John David Washington, and you could hardly hear a single word in that exchange because the dialogue was just so far down in the mixing compared to the score. I think overall my score, or my rating of the film Tenet, would be a 4.25 to a 4.5, 4.5 stars. And I think the main thing keeping it from that 5 stars is a combination of some sound mixing issues I had with the film, and I don't fully think the way the plot was told, not necessarily the plot itself, but the way it was told, was done in the best manner it could have been. So a combination of those kind of dip it down like half a star, 3/4 of a star. So I think I'll give it probably like a 4.5. If you watched all the way through, thank you. You can subscribe, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment on your thoughts about the film. You know, this is my first review on YouTube, so the video quality, my communicating quality might not be on par as some reviewers out there, but thank you. And if you liked me, you liked my thoughts, anything, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe. Hopefully there'll be more to come.